Hello everyone, this is Greyshot 170 bringing you a Company of Heroes 2 how-to video. Yes, I know this has been hotly anticipated. Not really, no one really cares unless you don't know how to play. But then I really thank you for watching this video. In any case, I'm going to be showing you how to play the OKW. Unfortunately, as you can see, the OKW is losing against 1945, and really they're barely holding on. But against the Soviets, the British and the Americans all fighting two OKW expert players, and they're a standard. And as you can see, while the expert guys have better units and tactics, the just overwhelming numbers is just completely overwhelming them and taking out their forces. Look at this expert maneuvering right there. Yeah. Any case, AI problems, pretty much. So. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. They'll clog up the pipes and make sure they can't come down this way. But in the meantime, let me show you how to play as the OKW. The Sturmtiger squad. These guys are great close range. They annihilate enemy forces, and pretty much their goal is just short range combat, mine detection, mine plant implementation. As you can see, they have 30 munition mines, which are very effective. They also have the reinforced steel barricade, which pretty much is this barricade I'll put down a little bit. Pretty much is a barricade that they can put up that light vehicles cannot puncture. Medium vehicles can't. So let's say a scout car cannot enter this, but there they go. But a Sherman can. So take it for what you will. I do like this barbed wire. It's the best barbed wire in the game. There was a time where it couldn't be cut. Now it can be cut. But yeah, it's really good at just stopping enemy vehicles from coming through, and also has a little bit more protection, so it takes longer to take out. They also, of course, have the support package. As you can see, it improves the repairability and allows cutting of wire. Again, you may be asking yourself, but Greyshot, it's like, how's that any good? Usually with the Soviets and stuff like that, I equipped it with this, it decreases their effectiveness because there's this guy right here with this like mine detector thing. But then you get rid of it with this little ability, and it just turns into a gun. Now, of course, they don't have active minesweepers still. They just have, normal weapons. But hey, in the meantime, if you need to pull it out, this guy will pull it out, which is really cool. So again, you can keep their combat ability up and allow them to keep moving. They're not as good as shock troops, but they are very good close range. They're probably better than the American. What is it called? The American assault engineers. I think they're technically, I would consider them better than assault jet grenadiers, but that's just me. But they are very effective infantry and probably the best engineers in the game. Probably the most powerful engineers in the game by far. Next up, we have the Volk squads, and the Volk squads are actually pretty good at assaulting. Now, if you're wondering why they're so good, very simple. First up, any troops, any OKW forces can go up to 5-star, including Pioneers. You can see here, can go up pretty vet 5. So the average is vet 3 for all other quote-unquote forces. Now, of course, when you vet these guys up, they get the concussive grenade and also the medical supplies. When you vet these guys up, they just become very lethal infantry. They're probably one of the weaker infantry to start off in the game. But then if you get these guys vetted up, they're probably one of them. They get up to, they become very powerful. Now, of course, all of them can be equipped with Panzer strikes, which makes them great against early game armor, even late game armor if you blob up a few squads. This allows them to survive in the cold. So again, you don't have to worry about them freezing in the blizzard, which is actually really cool. A lot of troops will, except I think that like sniper teams are immune. But in any case, yeah, so that is a huge issue that people deal with, but these guys can go right through, so you can easily sneak upon enemy armor, and I will tell you guys Doctrines once I'm done going over all the units. That way it's fair, and I can go over each one, and you can say, oh, I want to see the Tiger in action. You can go see a replay. I can tell you how it is. That's equally as important in my book. So they're really good frontline troops. Honestly, these two troops, most likely you want the Sturmtiger to check an area out, but majority of the time you send in Volk squads. A majority of the time people send in Volk blobs to go deal with enemy issues. Now, again, you can do Sturmtigers, but I feel like this has versatility, while the Sturm Pioneer, while great at while great at just attacking, the problem with the Sturm Pioneer, and this is a big thing, the problem is it just doesn't have a very effective AT. So this is really good against infantry, this is very good against vehicles, and then also, once bedded up, also infantry. So you can see why people will go toward the Volk squads, although technically the Sturm Pioneer is a better infantry killer. How are these guys doing? Okay, they're holding. Good. Now, of course, we keep going down the list, and you guys see two other things. You have the Kubel, which went from a very helpful utility vehicle to now no one cares and no one uses it. I wish I was kidding. I don't really use the Kubel all that much. The Kubel used to suppress, and I think still can suppress, because there's this thing right here where it enables it to lay down more suppressive fire. I'm assuming this allows it to lay down suppressive fire. I'm assuming. The problem is I've never had a vet 2 Kubel or higher. They usually die very quickly. It's very hard to keep them alive. It's very hard to get them ranked up. So that is an issue. They're only 210. This is 250. This is 300. So again, Sturm Pioneers are very expensive, while this thing is 210. So it's very cheap, I guess, compared to everything. But unless you're flanking a Soviet MG or some type of really Vickers MG from the British, this thing is pretty much useless. I really don't see any point in it. Sure, you could scout it. It's only worth, what, 4 points? I have 200 to show everyone all the units, but it's only worth 4 points. I really don't care about this thing. Oh, I should also mention this is a mod map, which that's why I can have so many units, which is why I think this would be easier than destroying vehicles, stuff like that. Yeah, let me make that in the meanwhile. Yeah, so it's okay. I really don't see a purpose for this unless you have to run MG on the ground that is not in a building. If it's in a building, there's no way this thing's gonna take it out. But it's okay. It's a light support unit, but at late game, don't expect it to be anywhere, not even good. Probably will die in the first 5 minutes easy. These units you'll want to stick around to late game, and the more you may be thinking, this thing looks cooler. I don't care about this thing. This is the best and worst AT gun at the game at the same time. This AT gun is the Raketenwerfer, okay? And it can, of course, attack enemy vehicles. You can tell it. Now, this thing has a good range, a good arc to it. But the big thing about this is this special ability, camouflage. You can camouflage it, and you can get it, of course. You can get it so that way it can sneak up on enemy armor, or the enemy can't detect it unless they have special gear to detect camouflage. Why this is important is very simple. Allied armor is typically very weak. So if you can get 2 or 3 shots from a Raketenwerfer just popping out of nowhere, so let's say you light 2 Raketenwerfers up and they're camouflaged and they just open fire. And by the way, this thing has a pretty decent fire rate, so we'll fire it. Yeah, I know, enemy fire. But it has actually a pretty good fire rate compared to the other AT guns. Also, another great ability is that it can actually get inside buildings. So you can put this thing inside of a building, and it will be very effective and shoot out of it like an MG. That's pretty awesome. So yeah, while it's not exactly very powerful, you can see it doesn't have a lot of armor to it. A Panzer IV or a Sherman or something could easily come around and kill it in one shot with explosive rounds. They could real easily kill it. However, again, if you're looking for just surprise ambush, this is a perfect AT gun. Also for building defense, this is a great AT gun. But if you're going out in the middle of nowhere and it's flanking, don't expect it to take a lot of shots like the Soviet AT gun or any other AT gun. Moving on, that is the first one. Now, you get these supply trucks. Once you get these supply trucks, you can set them down. First, everyone will typically, there are 3 you can go for. There's the Battle Group Headquarters, the Mechanized Regiment Headquarters, and the Panzer Headquarters. The first one everyone typically goes to is, of course, the Battle Group Headquarters. Then people will typically, wow, everything's messed up here. Then people will typically go for Mechanized. People can rush for Mechanized. However, this one has its advantages, which I'll explain. And then finally, once you send one of these 2 down, you can then make a Panzer Headquarters, which allows you some heavy armor. So this thing is pretty much really an infantry support. This is more like anti-armor, heavy anti-infantry, anti-vehicle structure support. And then this is all like heavy armored vehicle support, along with heavy infantry. Once these trucks are destroyed, you no longer have access to them, which is the problem with OKW. Oh, nice, they actually have a Sturmtiger. I'll show you that a little later. and how you get one. But anyway, so first we'll start out with the battle group headquarters. First off, when you set this thing down, it's only, I think, 40 fuel, so it's actually not that expensive. This is 50, and that's 120, all 200 manpower. So as you can tell, this one's the cheapest and easiest to go for. The first thing, of course, the main thing this is good for is healing infantry. These headquarters have different specials. This heals infantry, both heal it and also medical supplies, in which it allows the infantry to heal their health. This allows to heal vehicles, so if the vehicle's injured, these troops will go out and heal the infantry, which is great. They won't. None of these troops, any of them, will actually, like the medics or anything like that. None of them will attack enemy armor. So, okay, just letting you know, they won't attack. They're just here to support. And then this one will attack, but of course it's just it has a built-in gun to it, so it has great defense. People usually try to rush this out as far as they can. This is a bad idea. Typically, you want this like a quarter way through the map. That way, it's a good fallback position. Do not put it as a forward operating base and like right on the enemy front line, as the enemy will easily kill it. Enough AT gun fire can kill any of these, or support guns, or just, you know, mortars or artillery. So again, you want to make sure they're in a good location where they're hidden and the enemy doesn't spot them, especially this one, the battle group. While of course they will try to hit armor stationed around this thing, you can put out a little further. When they, you can activate a retreat point. So let's say this infantry is injured, they retreat to this battle group headquarters. The problem with this is people usually target this headquarters, and that allows essentially the enemy to hit a lot of your units if they're all healing around this thing. So if the enemy knows you're here, do not station it. Do not station troops here, or make sure that your like rally point is like farther away. That way, of course, they can automatically be healed, but the enemy doesn't, bomb here and get all of your units one hit. I've done that before with tons of forces on both sides. You can also do it with the Americans and the British, but it's something you do have to watch out for. Now, of course, what do you get with this battle group headquarters other than a forward retreat post? You get the support gun. This has better range than a mortar. I think the fire rate's a little slower, but it can be vetted up to 5. So this thing was OP, then they nerfed it a little bit, but it's still very powerful. It fires explosive rounds pretty far distances. As you can see, it will get in position and then just open fire, and it will fire at an arc. Come on, fire. There we go. You can see hero fire, and it'll actually do pretty good. I see a lot of people spam these. Like there was a game where they spam like 5 of them. So people do still spam them, and they fire at a decent clip. So it is something that, again, it's a nice artillery piece, infantry artillery piece that you can get. It's not exactly extremely powerful, but it's still a pretty good unit to have. And again, if you need to destroy enemy encampments, British fortifications, maybe you have to deal with a Soviet NG, this is a good thing to get. It's long range, it's great for, again, hitting infantry, and actually it can suppress infantry as well if it gets a nice hit. Harder to do so, but it still can. Anyway, I think it can still suppress infantry. That was at least a recently tactic. If not, it'll still do a good chunk of damage to infantry nonetheless. This thing is not very good against vehicles. Maybe it'll get a shot off, but it's not designed to do that. Even though, you know, you have this, which again, it's a high explosive barrage. They can do a little damage, but this is not designed to fight vehicles. Same thing with the half track. The half track's good against lightly armored vehicles, but it's basically designed against infantry. You do alright, so I will move this. When it moves, it can't fire. It needs to like set itself down, and then it can fire. Note, when you rank this thing up, it actually enables the crew, again, you can see, to pretty much set this thing down a lot quicker. And also, it does get smoke at that one. So you can, if it's under fire, you don't have to worry about it packing up and then slowly retreating. It does have smoke, so you can easily get this thing out of cover and out of the engagement easily. So if it is ambushed, you can get it out. Like I said, really good against infantry, has a nice suppressive ability, just tears enemy infantry apart. It's just a really, really, really nice unit to have, just holding back enemy infantry blobs. That being said, it is not the best armored unit, and it is kind of a little bit, it's harder to move. So when you do have this thing out, make sure it's well positioned, and also make sure that it's set down. If it's on the move, it's no good. It's unlike the American AT gun, where the American AT gun has like this weak spot, but you know it can still fire, this thing cannot. So again, just be very cautious. Also, a heavy AT will easily kill this thing with infantry. How are these guys doing? Oh good, they're just tearing them apart. That's great. They're pushing the allies back. So at least they don't have to worry. For a second there I thought I would have to like possibly engage, but good, I don't have to. Finally, you may be looking, what the heck is this thing? This cannot be upgraded. There's no 5-star veterancy with that, which I think kind of sucks. I think this would be an amazing unit to have. I would think over time it would rank up and it would slowly either get faster, maybe get a special ability, I don't know, something really cool. I think they could have done for this. But anyway, it's a really awesome unit because it's a spotlight that will detect enemy units within the shadow of war. So if the enemy has forces, let's say in the shadow, it'll detect them within a certain range. So as you can see, I put down, you can see on the minimap that's the range it has. It's pretty good. It's actually really good range. So you just set that in where that area it will cover, it will detect enemy forces within that area. So that's really awesome to have something that can detect enemy positioning, and that way you can know about fortifications, you can know where to attack, if they're attacking you, what they have, etc. And even possibly find out, like, I use this to find American or British forward operating bases, and then I use my Stuka, the next one, to bomb it. So it's a good combo with your forces, and it's a great unit to have, especially with your allies, so you can detect enemy positioning and anticipate where they're going. I also use this on Lesser Factory for defense purposes. It's a really good unit that I feel is underutilized, and I feel like a lot of people should get this because, again, it lets you know what the enemy's doing. It can't attack, it can't do anything, but like I said, it's not meant to. It's a spotlight. It's meant to inform you where the enemy is. So that's why it is pretty cool. Anyway, with the Mechanized, we have some more heavily armored units compared to these guys. We have, of course, the Loops. The Loops is great. It's a good recon tank, the light tank, but still, this light tank will take a beating. Unlike the half-track, where it can be hurt by gunfire, this thing cannot. It cannot be hurt by gunfire, and the gun on this thing will tear infantry apart. I think even better than this half-track, honestly. Although the half-track will shoot down aircraft as well. I forgot to say that. I think that's a given. It's a flak half-track with anti-air gun on top. But yeah, it will shoot down aircraft as well. So that's pretty good. So if the enemy's spamming bombers, you can, not heavy bombers, British, but let's say IL-2s or recons, you can get this thing out, shoot it down. Also, the Panzer headquarters will shoot stuff down, which is really nice. So Luke's is good. It's good, and it's not designed really firing other tanks. It's designed to find infantry. So this is not like your, what is it? This is not like a T-70, or this is not like, actually, probably even better example would probably be the Stuart. The Stuart is like a great tank support tank, because it can disable, it has all those specials. This, as you can see, is more designed, again, for just recon, and also for anti-infantry. Don't expect this thing to kill a Tiger, although I have seen it kill a Tiger, or, you know, a heavily armored vehicle, or even like another. It will do great against like lightly armored vehicles, so let's say half-track or something. It will kill like lightly armored stuff. But like I said, do not expect it. Do not expect this thing. I repeat, do not expect it to go toe-to-toe with something like a Sherman and win. This thing is not meant for that. A Puma, you could kind of say is. A Puma, when you get this thing ranked up, it's actually very good. I had this thing essentially. I've had this thing fight a Jackson and win toe-to-toe when it gets vetted up high enough. So it is really good. But the problem is, early game, I really don't see. A lot of people don't get this because, again, people, unless you can get this thing ranked up, it's a great support tank. It really is. It's not the most heavily armored, and it can easily die from, again, enemy fire. But it's a good, like, again, light tank hunter, and it's also good at just supporting against medium tanks. Heavy tanks don't even think about it, but it can fight a Sherman if you have like a good some other AT forces there. It can easily snipe it. It's a great sniping tank. It can't hurt infantry. Again, it's mainly designed versus enemy armor, but it does have this cool smoke ability, as you can see. So of course you can't see it. Also has this aim shot, which, unlike the Luke's, which is more designed against armor, this thing is a great support tank because, again, you can disable something. So if it can disable, I don't know, its main gun or something, you know, something like that, that would be, it's really good. It's a really good weapon to just, like, again, just kind of cripple the enemy armor. But again, it needs to be vetted up to do that. Now, of course, and also it's very fast. This thing is very, very fast. Now we have the Stuka, and I will demonstrate the Stuka to you, because the Stuka is the best armored artillery unit in the game, hands down. Without the other commander ability, it's the best. I know you can say Priest is pretty good, but this thing is very destructive. It calls down one. It just does down one strike. It is the most expensive. So as you can see here, it's 100 fuel, 390. The Puma is decently expensive. It's 70 fuel, 320. So again, it's heavily quote unquote heavily armored car. So, I mean, but heavy armored car. But I mean, it can take a few shots. The Luke's can also take a few shots. It's decently expensive as well. It's 315.65. I also forgot this one's 330. That's okay. This is 205 fuel, easily worth it. And this one's 270.55. Honestly, I would rather probably just go for a Luke's. Unless they're spamming aircraft, then I would probably go for this. Although if you need something to suppress, this is something that you could get, and it'll suppress infantry. The Luke's will not. But anyway, the Stuka is great because again it fires that barrage. You get it ranked up, which you can easily do if you had a good blob. It goes to level 4. The Stuka is probably the thing that you can easily get ranked up, because the first two essentially just fire quicker. The third one is, of course, you go increase the range of it, so it's not as vital. It does have a shorter range. It doesn't have the you need it ranked up to get the best range. And then, of course, 4 is the incendiary rockets, which is great against fortified positions because they'll just burn everything away. And, of course, the Puma, and then 5-star is just better maneuverability, so you can instantly fire and get out. Because a lot of people will be like, oh, the Stuka's firing, fire artillery to counter it. You quickly get out before being hit. So it's a very, very good vehicle, very good upgrades, and probably, again, like I said, the best artillery unit in the game. Because it can easily kill Katyushas and Panzerwerfers. It's more expensive than those two, easily more expensive. But like I said, I think it's better than both of them, honestly. So that's what they have going for them, which is why late game it's hard to fight a Stuka. It's really hard to kill a 5-star Stuka, which is again, if you could go for the OKW has 3 vehicles that are probably like a few things that make it exceptional. First, the Volk squads, in my opinion. Secondly, would probably be its support gun. Thirdly, would be its Stuka, just awesomeness. And now we're going on the Panzer headquarters, and well, it's interesting. This was heavily changed, because they kind of moved some things in and out. Like for example, they put in a Panzer IV, and they moved in the Jagdpanzer. And they kicked out a thing called a Sturmtiger, which I hate it. I hate that they did, because I love this thing. I feel like it was underutilized, but this thing is so good. I don't know why people didn't use it. I'm really shocked people didn't use this thing. I'm disappointed. But anyway, I'll get to that a little later. So first off, with the Panzer headquarters, you sit down, you get infantry. You get these units. So they are quote unquote Obosudan. These are the best infantry the Obosudan, the best infantry that the OKW have. First off, they can set down traps. So you can set down traps on position, so that way if the enemy takes it, there'll be an explosive charge, and that could cripple to kill the infantry. Second, they have a bundle grenade, which is very good. The Volk squads have also grenades, but as you can see, they're flame. I almost forgot to mention. We can throw a flame grenade. It's great against pretty much fighting positions, because of the fact it fires a burning effect, which is it will either burn fortifications, burn enemy infantry, which is great against MGs, or just hurt them. So it's really, really good at just hitting fortified infantry. So it makes the OKW the ability to push, because I feel like a lot of people forget the OKW has no good MG, and I'll explain that a little later. I know you can say the MG34 is an MG, but it's not very good unless you get it ranked up really quickly. It just isn't. I'm sorry. It's worst MG in the game. They don't have the MG42. They don't have 50 cal. They don't have Padushka. They don't. I mean, even the Maxim, in my opinion, is still a good MG, but they don't have any MG. So the OKW can't really suppress. They have to just beat the infantry, which is hard. It's a harder group, and again, one weakness to these guys is, A, it takes them, if you if you can, MG spam is something that can be done against these guys. It's really hard to fight. B, mortar spam is something hard to fight unless they get artillery. Then it's easy. And C, their infantry is okay early game, so with the other factions like the British and the Americans where they get better infantry, it's hard for the OKW to fight. That being said, the OKW strengths are its better vehicles and very, very good late game armor. The Stuka, the King Tiger, the Panther, the Panzer IV, even this one's better than the Wehrmacht. So it's very hard to compete with the OKW late game, which is why if you're allies, you try to end the game as soon as possible or cripple these buildings because you won't win in a long-term engagement. Like, again, the OKW has a higher chance of winning. But as you can see, again, earlier the OKW would push back, but once they started getting that late game armor, the King Tiger, the Panther, and other things, they were able to push. So that's one of the benefits of this faction. It's late game superiority. So the Obusudan are very good. They'll tear apart enemy infantry, and they also get this, you can upgrade with the MG34 machine gun. Again, very good. It doesn't suppress, but it is just a very, very good MG. Oh wait, allows already accurate fire to suppress. Okay, so it can eventually suppress with the MG34, but yeah, it's just very good infantry, and you can even make them better with a commander. We also have, of course, we have 3 different tanks you get out of this Panzer headquarters. You get the Panzer, which is basically a surprise tank destroyer. What do I mean by surprise? Well, it's very simple. This thing, of course, it's only good against vehicles. It's not good in fortified positions, but it's not good against infantry. So don't send this against infantry. But once you eventually get this equipped, all of its specializations make it better for literally just surprise attacking, camouflaging itself and just hitting enemy armor. And the enemy armor, again, as you can see, it's like an S285 where it can't like turn its barrel, but it has great front armor, so most shots in the front can bounce, which makes it very, very hard to fight in the front. So in that capacity, it's good. But again, its weakness is, of course, anti-tank guns and armor. Not armor, infantry, because infantry can come up and just flank this thing and easily take it out. Then you have the Panzer IV. You may be asking yourself, what's the difference between this Panzer IV? Well, this Panzer IV is slightly better than the other Panzer IV on the Wehrmacht side, as you can see it automatically has armored skirts. Plus, there's 5 stars. So you can rank this thing up to be better than the Wehrmacht Panzer IV. So instantly, this thing is automatically better. It is more expensive. So this is 400, again, very expensive infantry. The Panzer is 400, 135. I know a lot of people who don't get this vehicle. I know I don't really use it all that much. It is a good surprise tank destroyer, but that being said, if you want something that's more maneuverable, most people just wait for the Panther. Although, now that the Panther is literally 200 more, as you can see here, the Panther is very expensive fuel-wise. With 200 fuel and 490 manpower, it's very, very difficult. I guess it's good to save up that much over a long game, so maybe people will go for this thing now more so than before. But that being said, I still don't see this thing all that much, and yeah, I wish they would. I just don't know how you would separate it, but do something a little bit more, because I feel like the Panzer is still just really under. I don't know. It's just not. It just, for whatever reason, it kind of like where the Su-76 nobody really used because it was in the last thing. I don't really see why people bring this out unless they, I don't know, unless they're just they need a tank and this is the only thing they have. Which it's a good vehicle. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, compared to these two, this is like the odd man out. So the Panzer IV is great against infantry and a medium armor, not like heavy armor. The Panther is great against heavy armor. As you can see, like I said, 5 stars. So if you get a 5-star Panther, this thing wrecks. It truly does. It says it's weak against anti-tank or infantry anti-tank. That's true. This thing can like run circles around AT, and with an MG gun and even its main gun, while not as effective as infantry as this, it's still decent. It's very good against armor and decent against infantry, while this thing is good against everything. This thing is no chance against infantry. But yeah, its gun is pretty good, and yeah, it's very expensive, but it's still a very, very good unit. Now I'm going to bring something out, of course, all of you have been wanting me to bring out for some time. Now, that's pretty much once you unlock all 3 of these, you get this thing called a King Tiger. And by the way, the black camo is just something I have. I picked this Doctrine just so I can show you this. You can only get one. Once you pick a commander, you have the ability to get a King Tiger as a call-in. They did this because originally you could call it in through this Doctrine, but the problem was people would have like 2 or 3 King Tigers, and it was kind of OP. It really was, because again, every other faction can only have 1 heavy tank, and then for whatever reason, this faction has the ability to get 2. It's really, really weird. Really weird. So, yeah. Now I'm just doing something over here, don't mind me. But yeah, the King Tiger is great against all units. It is very expensive. Very expensive. Now, and again, you could be asking how much. This thing is a quote, 720 manpower, not bad. 310 fuel, which is insane. It is a lot. Okay? It is a lot, and that is a lot of fuel, and a lot of people may not have the ability to save up. That's at least like if you're, let's say you're getting 31 fuel per turn, that's 10 minutes of saving fuel that you can't buy anything else with. That's a lot. So I don't know. It's up to you what you guys think. Again, if it's worth it or not. It is a very powerful tank, but that being said, you could also see like a little bit more time. You get a Panzer IV and a Panther, which could be, you know, something. It could be, you have more guns firing. This thing has 1 very powerful gun, but again, you have multiple tanks firing at this thing. It can't hit all of them at the same time, so that is an issue. It does have sloped armor, which makes it better than the Tiger for the Wehrmacht. But yeah, it's a good tank. It's probably one of the best tanks in the game. But yeah, it's just, and it's a very good killing machine. But the problem is, again, it is 1 tank, and if you cripple it, it's very easy to kill it. I know a lot of people think the King Tiger is the end-all be-all, but honestly, it's not. But as you see over here, it's very hard for, you need a lot of forces coordinating to really kill this thing. Otherwise, it can fight by itself. And as you can see over here, once the of course, the allies have a harder time dealing with that because, again, you need to usually fight this. Usually, to fight the King Tiger, you need some type of, I don't know. It's like you need a really like a lot of tank destroyers and special abilities. You really need to coordinate to kill this thing. If you're uncoordinated, this thing will wreck. If you coordinate, this thing is a piece of cake to take out. Now, also, as you can see here, it does have these 2 are with the special. It does have war speed, so that is something it has. But again, the Panzer IV and Panther have that too, and that increases its speed. So again, it can get out of special situations. This thing has it, and it was funny to watch this thing before they patched it to just speed away, because you're like, how is the King Tiger that fast? But yeah, there was a time where this thing was like a really fast unit, and then they patched it, and now it's okay. But as you can see here, you have the Spearhead, and that focusing on frontal assault, the King Tiger has a faster turret rotation and a longer sight rate range, but the turret is locked at 90 degrees, which is fine. It essentially allows this thing to pretty much be like a very powerful late game unit. It's just like blasting its way through. So again, if you let a King Tiger vet up, you are in for a beating, because this thing will be very hard to fight once you get this thing ranked up. So anyway, I'm going to show you my favorite unit in the game real quick before I show you commanders. The Sturmtiger. The Sturmtiger, I think I've gone over everything. Let me make sure. Yes. The Sturmtiger is a great unit. It's a great piece of artillery. It used to be one of the main set, which is why I brought it in. But now it's neglected to the Elite Armor Doctrine. I'll go over that later. But it has a grenade if you get this thing vetted up. And also has this gun, the rocket attack. And that's why I set everything together, because I want to show you the destructive ability of this rocket. As stated, I have no idea why, apparently, that people didn't like this thing. But the fact it did all of that to all those vehicles in one shot pretty much shows the power of this thing. That being said, of course, there is a reload time that it has to do. It's a 50-second reload, and you have to make sure this thing is in cover while reloading, because otherwise it can be the crew can be killed. But I love the little animation with this, and yeah, I don't know. It's like, if you can kill all this in one hit, I really don't. I just don't understand why people don't like this thing a lot more. But anyway, that's all that's pretty much finishing this how-to for at least the gameplay side. I'm gonna switch over and show you guys the Doctrines. Hello everyone, this is Greyshot, and I'm here to show you all the abilities that the OKW has. Now, of course, there are 5 commanders with it. Sorry, 6 that were default, and then I believe 3 they've added? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, no, 2. They've added 2, which is nice. I don't have the most recent one with the DLC, but I will instantly pull it up via store. It's a good doctrine. I have this one, but I didn't get the other, and I'll explain reason why. Anyway, so we're going through all of them. First commander we have is the Breakthrough Doctrine. This one's really, really good at just the best way I can put it. It's just a really, really good doctrine because of the Tiger. It's the best tank destroyer in the game by far. It's very powerful, very long range, and the default is it's slow, it's bulky, and essentially it costs a lot, and it counts as a heavy tank, so you can't have this and a King Tiger, which is why I didn't show it. But yeah, it's a very, very good tank late game to bring this thing out. And in long-range engagements against armor or fortifications, usually the Yag will win. A very good player will have the Yag pretty much killing anything, even like pretty much before killing anything that could like be a threat to this thing before they can even fire on the Yag. They also have some other abilities. Storm Officer is pretty good. Breakthrough Tactics is good, just quick take territory. Storm Officer is good at giving a boost, but if you kill it, they'll retreat. Panzer Full Sleeves are good anti-infantry medium range to long range, and they also have some AT grenades, so that's pretty good. Assault Artillery is just artillery that comes down at a star or a major point, but you can't like tell it to hit a certain area unless it's specifically a key, like take this point. That's the only place you can use assault artillery. Elite armor, that's where I got the Sturmtiger, and that's where it's neglected to. Signal relay is good. Any OKW player can see enemy vehicles on the minimap, which is great. Emergency repairs are good in case you're critical. You need to get the guy out. That being said, again, you want to make sure it's still safe while repairing. Otherwise, it can cause even more damage. High explosive tank shots are great if you need to do more damage. And the Panzer Commander is probably the worst thing about this doctrine. It sucks. I don't know why people get it. The coordinate artillery is bad. And yeah, it's just a bad thing. Don't use that upgrade. This is a new thing. It's a first-time doctrine. It's, I don't know. I originally thought this was worth it. I like the recoup losses that get you a lot of manpower, but the OKW, typically you have a ton of manpower, so you don't really have to worry about that. The flamethrowers are good with Sturm Pioneers, helps them fight MGs in buildings, stuff like that, or enemies in buildings, and just be more effective. It helps increase their effectiveness against infantry. The salvage is great. You get munitions, but again, it takes more time. Always something good. Again, I really like the OKW's ability to just scavenge up resources. That's always something, again, you can get those extra resources. The Flame Panzer is terrible. Don't get it. It's bad. It's very weak. It's probably has the same armor as a Luke's. It's very small. It's okay. It's a good support tank if you need it, but honestly, just get something else. It's not worth it. The Rocket Barrage is probably the best thing about this doctrine, honestly. Unfortunately, the OKW doesn't have a direct artillery. This allows that, and you can call in a direct strike that happens within a very quick amount of time. It will call in this barrage, and it can actually kill enemy artillery, armor, medium light armor, stuff like that. It's great. It's just like you do a recon, you see something very important, you hit it, and it only costs about 200 munitions, so it's actually pretty cheap, respectively, for like a really good artillery shot. Fortifications, great against locking down territory, terrible against artillery. MG34 is the weakest MG in the game. The flak emplacement, okay, it's not great. It's kind of okay. You can easily snipe the infantry inside, which is bad. You can't put down tank traps, which is good, and trenches. And of course, you do get Wehrmacht mines and bunkers of the Wehrmacht for IAT, so that's good as well. The Pak 43 is one of the best anti-tank guns in the game. E is probably the best anti-tank gun in the game. And yeah, it's incredible. If you need to hold a position and you have a good building to hide this thing behind, it'll shoot through the building and kill the infantry, or not, the armor, my apologies. It's great. And Zero artillery is great because as long as you have recon the enemy target within that designated area, there'll be enough artillery that's called down to pretty much annihilate anything within its way. There's nothing that Zero artillery cannot kill while it's firing. I'm not even kidding. It's that good. it just won't hit fortifications. Now, Luftwaffe ground forces, it's okay. MG34, like I said, in the heavy fortifications I went over, I feel like if you're going between these two, honestly, I like fortifications more. The reasoning is because airborne assault sucks. It literally is a couple planes strafing an area, and then you deploy these Fallschirmjägers. And Fallschirmjägers are good infantry. They can deploy out of buildings. They have really good weapons. The problem is they don't have great armor. And I'm a dick. If you know the enemy has this guy with Fallschirmjägers and they're deploying behind your lines, same thing with like the the partisan troops. Just put mines by the doors of the buildings, and they'll instantly die. They're so clumped up that once they leave the building, they'll instantly die. And since they're 440 manpower, I'm not even kidding, 440 manpower for these. They're so expensive that once the enemy starts losing them, they'll stop doing it. It's that simple. But yeah, it's a cheap way to stop them, and they're just okay. They're not great. If you get them ranked up, then they can be better, but for how expensive they are, they're only really good against. I mean, they have Panzer Faust ability, but they're only really good against infantry. And that said, once they're on the field, as long as you have enough forces, you can deal with them. They are very powerful. Again, if you let them get vetted up and you send smaller units at them, but if you focus right, Fallschirmjägers can be easily dealt with, more so than the fortifications, which is why I used to like this doctrine, but now I really don't. Another doctrine I really don't like is the Scavenge doctrine. The 105 howitzer barrage is okay. I don't really care about the Flak Panzer. Really, I don't know why you would want this thing, because again, I think the half track and the Lukes do a good enough job. And if you really want something that's good against infantry, just get a Panzer IV. Or just if you want something better against blobs, just get the Sturmtiger. Like I said, the Sturmtiger is great at just killing a large unit within a certain area, so it does a lot more than the Flak Panzer, especially if you're versing with an anti-tank blob. Infiltration tactics is okay. It throws a bunch of grenades. They can be very destructive against blobs. Jaeger light infantry, again, you can deploy them behind enemy lines. They're good in that sense, but like I said, the Jaeger light infantry is good. It's not great, but it's okay. I know a lot of people who love this infantry. I don't care for them, honestly, and the Scavenge is okay. Like I said, for all the OKWs, doctrines, these two are probably the ones I really don't use. Scavenge and Luftwaffe ground forces. I just don't use them anymore. I think they're bad. I know some people really like them. I know they can be used, but I just don't care for them. Really, I don't. And then finally, finally you have the normal ones that you don't have to purchase. So as you can see, this one, then you have the Luftwaffe ground forces and the breakthrough doctrine are the three that come with it normally, and then like these blue ones are all stuff you have to purchase or you unlock. I've unlocked each of these except for the fortifications, and then I unlocked it 4 times. Except for this one, which was new, I've unlocked all the others just I'm not even kidding, by just like playing the game. You typically through drops. I don't know if they changed the drop rate, but I don't know. I've played the game quite a lot. I know that, but I've gone at least 3 to 4 times each of these commanders. So if you want these commanders, just play as OKW, and typically you'll get that commander unlocked. I'm not even kidding. And so this one, it's actually pretty good. The Command Panther is great because it boosts against sight and movement of all vehicles, which again is kind of like the command tank of the Wehrmacht, but even better because it's the Panther. And also they can focus fire. They do coordinated fire on the enemy vehicle, which is even better. It does more damage against it. Artillery fires is great because it's the only real recon the OKW has. The infiltration tactics again are great. Radio silence is good because again it hides enemy units. So of course if they're not paying attention, you can easily sneak behind their lines and do massive damage. And the STG-44s are a great upgrade for the Obersoldaten. While the MG-34 is a good upgrade, these weapons make it even better and just make it very, very hard to fight Obersoldaten upgraded. Again, tanks can easily fight them, but if you're doing on infantry by infantry basis, you have three Obersoldaten with these upgrades. They are very, very tough, and you need armor to fight them. It'll be very, very tough for infantry to even fight them. And of course, the last doctrine that is out, I need to go to the, where is it? All right, we have to go to the store, everybody. So pack your bags. We're going to the in-game store. Commanders. Okay, so the Overwatch is the last one. This one's the newest one. I don't really care for it, although I still like it more than the other two. That the ones I said I probably least like. The Goliath is great. It's literally a bomb. It's 100 munitions, and it's very, very destructive against like enemy forces, fortifications, armor. As long as you can sneak up on it, it does an amazing amount of damage. That's good. It's also a very good support commander, as you can see. For the Fatherland, it increases defensive bonus for all the infantry. And early warning is great, so you know where the enemy is sending forces, and it's automatic. You don't have to you don't have to set these things down. And the forward receivers, again, just reveals enemies. So if you could see enemies coming up upon you, if you think that see a sneak attack coming. So essentially, it helps you see where the enemy is, stop sneak attacks, and allows you to set up ambushes. So you can set up an ambush by a point. Flares go up, you have a Goliath nearby, send them in, kill all the units. That being said, a few shots at the Goliath with an AT gun, one shot with an AT gun or sustained fire from infantry will kill it. It will still explode automatically, and you can just pump these out of any truck, so they're good. And then you have Sector Assault, which is by far the best. I'll say the second best bomber strike you can call in, because literally just random bombs and planes will fly in, strafe enemy positioning, the recon will come in so you can see what's going on. There's so much stuff happening, and it's kind of sporadic, but if the bombs hit, I literally have a clip of GTA killing like 5 infantry squads with this ability. It's that good. So honestly, Overwatch is a very good doctrine. If I had to say, like, again, because you can only really have 3. So I'm going back to this. If you really only had 3, this is my opinion. You probably want the Tiger, honestly, because again, you want something heavy armor. You most likely would want, I like elite armor, that's my guilty pleasure, but fortifications would probably be better. And then the Overwatch would probably be the 3rd. And then add like a 2, like a secondary, like honorable mentions, I would probably say elite armor and the special operations. The Scavenger Doctrine, Luftwaffe, and the First Stream Doctrine are all doctrines I would honestly, unless you really like the Hertzer, really like Fallschirmjägers, I just don't care about those 3, and probably the least 3 used I know I really liked this thing in the beginning, but then the Flame Panzer I found sucked, and the Rocket Barrage was okay. The other had better abilities, stuff like that, so I used them a lot more. So honestly, that's the overview of the OKW. That's my opinion on it. I know, again, all sorts of other people have different opinions on it. That's fine. But that's what I think about it. In any case, that's pretty much, in my opinion, how to play this OKW and what to do. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. And tune in next time when I cover the Wehrmacht not doctrine, but essentially the last faction I need to go over. Alright, see you next time.